dozen years in mind. We are a small but vibrant national charity. That's how we describe ourselves. Other people describe us just as being small. But we've been around since 2004, when we were formed from the merger of 3 existing charities, some of which had actually been around since 1981. So we do like to promote the fact that we have been doing this for nearly 40 years. And we describe ourselves as being the voice of accessible tourism and travel in the UK. And we're in a unique position because we're a nationwide charity. We work with individual tourists and travellers. We have relationships with hundreds of individuals who travel in the UK and overseas, looking at their different needs and the different requirements they have, helping them to plan their holidays. But we also work with the tourism and travel industry, where we provide a number of business services. We relaunched our brand and our website and our product set at the end of December last year, and we're really focusing on the business services that we offer, but we also have a very strong relationship with government. Visit England are partners of ours, as are Visit Scotland and Visit Wales, and we do have a close relationship with government departments like the DCMS and the DWP as well. So let's look first at the size of the accessible tourism and travel market. The first thing to note is there are 11.9 million disabled people in the UK. That's actually 1 in 5 of the population has an impairment which impacts on their lives in some way. We'll look in a moment at the way those impairments are actually made up across the market. But that market, the disabled people spend £12 billion a year on trips within the UK where a member of the party has an impairment. And the interesting thing there is that we know the existing market is worth £12 billion, but nobody knows how big the market could be if all of those people who would like to travel, but who have an impairment and who fear that services and facilities and the welcome they get might not be suitable for them, if all those people could be persuaded to travel, we actually don't know how big the market could be. Visit England are starting to do some research on that over the next few months to get a kind of top-line idea of how big the potential market is. But we do know that currently £12 billion a year is spent, and that 251 million trips involving an overnight stay are taken by parties, a member of which has an impairment. It's important to note, though, we do find when we talk to businesses about disability, about accessibility, there's a natural reaction which is to equate disability, to equate impairment with wheelchair usage. And it's important to note that wheelchair users, although they are a very important part of the market, they're a comparatively small part of the market. As this table here shows, only 6% of disabled people are actually wheelchair users, either full-time or part-time. Hearing impairment is the most common single impairment that people have. And I myself, as I get older, my hearing is starting to fail. Quite selectively, my wife thinks, because it's when she asks me to do things that I tend not to hear her. But actually, genuinely across the board, my hearing is going. I'm not as mobile as I used to be. A lot of the impairments that we see are to do with the natural process of ageing, but they do impact people's lives, and people can actually enjoy trips, enjoy holidays far more if a few provisions are made to actually help them. But there are some attractive elements to the market as well. Most disabled tourists are accompanied by a relative, a friend or a helper. They don't tend to travel on their own, they tend to travel in parties, which means there is more being spent. Disabled tourists stay longer and they spend more. And I only just realised as I was looking at this slide that I forgot to mention, the other thing is they also tend to come back. When disabled tourists and travellers find a place they like, they find a place where the service is good, they will tend to go back. So what influences disabled tourists' choices? Disabled tourists do take more time and trouble to make informed choices. Looking at a website and seeing that a room is wheelchair accessible is fine, but is it accessible for your wheelchair in your circumstances? And what we find is that disabled tourists, when we speak to them, they select businesses not because of price, but because of good experiences they've had. As I say, disabled tourists, if they have a good experience, tend to come back. And because of the reputation that a business enjoys, and the way that other people have actually experienced it. And so promoting through good channels and proper channels can be a really important part of accessing the disabled or the accessible market. However, disabled tourists reject businesses for a number of reasons. Obviously, depending on the type of impairment, the inaccessibility of the premises might be an issue, but it's not the only issue, and it's not even the main issue. Inaccessible websites, by that I mean, is the information on businesses' accessibility easy to find? Is it clear? Does it give people the information they need? If it doesn't, they're likely to go elsewhere. If it does, they're likely to pursue it and find out more. But what we find time and time again is that the most important element of enjoyment, of having a good trip, having a good holiday, if you are a person with an impairment, is the service that you receive, the welcome that you receive, the willingness to get round problems. The number of people that we talk to who talk about the fact that they went on holiday somewhere that turned out not actually to be as accessible as they thought it would be, but it didn't matter because people were so willing and so helpful and so friendly to get round the problems that they had, that they enjoyed the holiday anyway. And so, as I say, poor service is a real turn-off for disabled tourists. Good service is a real turn-on. It is in every case, no matter what the severity or the type of impairment that people we talk to have, they all say that the welcome they get, the service they receive, are just as important as the facilities. But it is worth noting that 33% and more of disabled customers don't complain about poor service, they just don't go back. So how can Tourism for All help you to make the most of the opportunity that's presented by this market? We work with businesses, and businesses are partners of ours. We've just heard that Visit Isle of Wight have become a partner for this year. What Tourism for All can do and can help you with as a partner is to train yourself and your staff, and that's a really important area that Tim will go on to talk about. But we can also help you to understand the accessible tourism and travel market. As I say, we work with a lot of individuals, and we have a lot of experience of the kind of things that they need. We can help you improve your offering to the accessible tourism and travel market, and we can help you promote your business to the accessible tourism and travel market. But the first thing to talk about is training, and I'll hand over to Tim to talk about that.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I've been to the Isle of Wight quite a few times in my life. My wife and I actually came here on Friday. We're spending a week here as part of this great opportunity of seeing what's going on here. And I have to say, it's a long time since we last came, but the product of the Isle of Wight is fantastic. You should be so proud of it. It's something that you can really build on. It has improved immensely over the last few years. If we accept, as Ray has suggested, that there is a great market opportunity, then let's work on and build on it. And it's all about really having the ability, the confidence, and being relaxed about it in terms of how we operate with our teams. Training is something very close to my heart. I spent over 45 years in the hotel and catering industry. I have a son who was born with cerebral palsy and is a wheelchair user, but is a great tourist, and he wants to go out and do things. So I've learnt through my industrial experience and through my parents' experience that we can actually make this world so much better for disabled people and get them to go out more. Now, as far as training is concerned, let's talk about what is so important first of all, and that is empathy and common sense, which go a long way. When we talk to disabled people, we should always ask them what help we can give them. Now that might be through a website, it might be on a phone, or it might be person to person. Very often disabled people are hesitant to actually talk about their impairment. So let's ask the questions. How can I make your stay even better? Tell me what you need, those sort of things. We must also recognise that people with different impairments might not always have just one impairment, or they might have another, but because, for instance, they have a speech impairment, it doesn't necessarily imply they also have a learning impairment. So one has to listen, one has to seek questions. Now, as a slight side issue, let's just talk about toilets and parking spaces. It's something very close to my heart as a parent, as a tourist. Toilets are usually described as disabled toilets. Now, what on earth does that mean, disabled toilet? There is no such thing, or there shouldn't be such thing as a disabled toilet, because it means basically you can't use it. The same with a car park space. A disabled car park space means you can't use it. So let's turn our attention to the language. It's quite straightforward. Let's talk about accessible toilets or easy access, and the same with car park spaces. Down the other end of the island, we were walking the other day towards the beach, and there were some very good-looking toilets on the left-hand side going down the pathway to the beach. Then ladies, and then accessible. I thought, gosh, this is fantastic. So I thought I'd just have a look. Oh dear, it was locked. Now, I understand the issues with cleaning in the winter, obviously that's an issue, and that they do get badly treated unnecessarily. But disabled people need to go to the loo at any time of the year, so let's, for goodness sake, let's pay attention to that. Some of the car park spaces I've come across are often, the disabled car park spaces, should I say, are often by a wall with no space between the next, that space and the next car park space, so it's virtually impossible. Very often, a person who is using a disabled car park space will actually need easy access on both sides, because the driver will need to get out as well. In terms of language also, let's talk about the word disability. What does that really mean? There is no such thing as a person who has a disability. They are either disabled through society, through us not being able to make it easy for them. They have impairments. And in terms of language, we don't want to talk about afflicted with, suffering from, or handicapped. Now, TFA's training is our online training package platform. It lets us build training courses which cover all aspects of customer service, from disability and accessibility awareness, and specialised technical and practical training. The courses are modular, which I'll explain a bit more in a moment. They are interactive and fun. There are tests for every module, and there's feedback from every module. They're self-paced. Now, this is very important for the industry, because very often staff are working flat out all throughout their shift, but they can take the training package in their own time, either off duty or in a meal break or whatever. So the courses have been designed to be self-paced, and you can exit at any point and rejoin when you want to. They're supported by course workbooks, student certificates. The certificates are in the name of Tourism for All, the individual organisation, and the Institute of Hospitality and the British Hospitality Association endorse the courses as well. So there's great value in actually taking the course. Now, the 6 courses are divided as follows. There's great service for disabled customers, for sales and office staff. For small businesses, that could be a pub, or it could be a shop, it could be a B&B. Then in the hotel sector, there is one course for reception staff. I've lost myself. There is another one for guest service staff, so restaurants, bars, what have you. There's a course for attractions and a course for general reception staff, which could be any kind of business. The core courses describe to staff the importance of disabled customers to the UK tourism industry. We've seen the numbers on that, we've seen the opportunity. It tells staff what the law says about providing service to disabled customers. The law is actually surprisingly vague in this respect, but it is necessary for us to all understand it. We have 3 golden rules for providing great service, and that is about being yourself, understanding the customer's need, and being relaxed about it. The course is also described to staff the different types and levels of impairment which may affect customers and how these may impact on their needs. Clearly, one has to deal with a person with a learning difficulty in a different way to a person with an illness or a visual impairment or a wheelchair user. We talk in the courses about how the language and terminology we use when speaking or referring to disabled customers can unintentionally cause embarrassment or distress. We talk about how they can provide great service to customers with visual impairments, hearing impairments, ability impairments, as I said, and things they should remember in their role when they are welcoming or assisting disabled customers. Also, things they should make sure they know that may be of help for disabled customers. So that is the training platform that we have. I'll now go back to Ray, who will talk about understanding the market.
Thank you very much, Tim. So, Tim has talked about our training platform and the training courses we offer. There were 4 things that we talked about that we can help you with. The next one is understanding the market. And what we've done here, we've realised that with all of the relationships we have with individual tourists and travellers with impairments of different types, we had a huge resource available to us by way of a sort of panel, and that by surveying that panel with different questions about difficulties they had, things they'd like to see, improvements they'd like to see, we could actually come up with a resource that was really useful to our partners in the industry. So we did our first major survey last year, and we're disseminating the results of that through what we call TFAQs. It's a bulletin that's available to our partners, and it helps businesses to understand the scope and value of the accessible tourism and travel market, what the people who make up that market want and need, and how businesses can address those needs cost effectively and maximise their return from this market. As I say, the TFAQs has been emailed out to all of our partners. When any of you are here today, if you, Tim and I will be around the rest of the day. If you pass us a card or come and speak to us, or, we'll make sure that we email you out a copy so that you can see what we're talking about and see how valuable this publication actually is. We can also help you improve your offering. And here, again, it's worth noting that simple steps to help the majority of customers with impairments needn't be expensive, they needn't be difficult, they needn't be prohibitive. Again, firstly, it's about attitude, taking an inclusive approach to inquiries and just asking, do you have particular requirements that I need to know about? If so, how can I help you with those requirements? And then little things, things like, for example, having a light at reception so it's easier for people to see and to read, having a low-level check-in desk so that a customer in a wheelchair can actually read and sign forms more effectively, just having a pen and writing paper available so that in the event that hearing is difficult, there's extraneous noise or somebody has a hearing impairment, you can communicate with them and find out what's needed and how to help. As I say, simple things needn't be expensive. What we also have, though, is a network of consultants that we built up, our associates, as we call them. And there's a selection of them there. Brian Seaman, who we've known for a number of years and is a very well-known expert advisor on accessibility, and indeed he's an assessor who helped to put together the National Accessible Scheme, which is still operated by Visit England. And he will offer significant discounts to our partners on his services. We've also just taken on board and got involved with GOS Consultancy. They're a slightly larger consultancy. They offer accessibility-related support services and consultancy. And then we have Visits Unlimited. They do classroom-based training in disability awareness. And again, all of these consultants, all of these associates will offer discounts to Tourism for All's partners on their services so that you can take advantage of them to help improve your offering. We can also help you promote your business. We have a number of channels through which we can do that. We have on our new website, Tourism for All, we've rebuilt our Tourism for All business directory. So you can have an entry in that, a searchable entry in our Tourism for All directory. We also have our personalised information service, which we operate for individuals with impairments, and it is part of our policy that we will always go first, wherever it's appropriate, to our partners to recommend those businesses to those individuals before we then broaden out our search into the wider world. We have our Open Britain Consumer Directory website. Now, a basic entry on that is actually free of charge. You don't have to be a partner to do that. That covers the entire country. There are currently 10,000 businesses on that directory, all of them accessible to one degree or another, and that website is fully searchable based on the facilities that individuals are looking for. We then have our Tourism is for Everybody campaign. What that's about, it's a campaign that we started, and it's to enable individuals and businesses really to buy into and demonstrate their support for the idea that the welcome and the service are just as important as the facilities in welcoming people with accessibility needs, people with impairments. And then finally, we have our newsletter and social media programme, where we regularly promote our partners in different ways to that market of disabled tourists and travellers that is out there. Now, Tourism for All partnership comes at various different levels. Level 1, which is the entry level for small businesses. For that, for your annual membership, you get obviously our monthly e-news bulletin with the latest accessibility news and information. You get access to our TFA training online courses for up to 5 staff. You get a subscription to our TFAQ's Market Intelligence Bulletin. You get a searchable basic entry in our partner directory. You get promotion through our e-news bulletins and social media channels, a 50% discount on enhanced entries on Open Britain, and all of that you get for £35 a year. And we do think that that does represent really very good value for businesses who are looking to address this market. We have other levels of partnership which go up right the way up to level 5, where you get different benefits that are more appropriate to the size of businesses that will be looking to work with us. So our level 2 partnership gives you access to TFA training for up to 25 staff. It gives you detailed pages in our partner directory. Our level 3 partnership gives you access to training for up to 50 staff. Our level 4 partnership gives you access to online training courses for unlimited staff within your organisation. It also gets your logo featured on all the website pages. And we can also, if you're a level 4 partner, we can actually put together online courses which are personalised to your organisation. And then our very top level, this is for businesses. One of our partners, for example, is Premier Inn. They use their partnership because there are things they want to do in terms of demonstrating their commitment to accessibility. And what Level 5 partnership gives you is access to the training for unlimited staff, but also in our market intelligence surveys you can have your own questions in there. We can find out things on your behalf, and it enables us to give Level 1 partnerships to up to 50 businesses or branches of your choice. And that comes out a top level fee of £2,800 a year. So as you can see, we have a range of partnership packages that are suitable for businesses of all sizes, and we're sure there's something in there that would give you the benefits that you need at a price that would be suitable. Now, that's it from us. Tim and I will be around for the rest of the day, so please come and speak to us. Please pass us a card and we'll send you a copy of TFAQs. And other than that, thank you very much indeed.